A favourite of mine that I don't see played very often, Nissa Vastwood Seer, and we are playing Ephara God of the Polis. Are we going to get into another land off of that Gitaxian probe? Well, even if we do, we need another mana to go into Chromatic Lantern. And even after all that, we're not doing much of anything, so let's mulligan that. That is way better. Yeah, so we're going in for a white land into land tax. Our opponent plays first, so land tax is switched on. Let's get rid of Tech Edge. I think we're just going to see a bunch of basics from our opponent in this game, so we don't need a wasteland and a Tech Edge. No, fixing our mana is the number one priority here. So we'll go in for a Tundra into land tax. Then land tax will probably trigger next turn. So how do we want to do this? Let's use that one. And go like that. Our opponent has gotten into a Sol Ring on turn 1, so they may go for their Nissa. Especially if they don't have a land in hand, that will guarantee them one. No, going in for a Tireless Tracker before dropping the land that is no doubt in their hand already. Okay, it is double landfall with a Windswept Heath, which means twice the clue tokens they would have got. Alright, and it's noteworthy that they have mixed up the snow-covered and the basic forests. So that usually tells you that it's Field of the Dead that they're going to aim for. Wouldn't have thought they'd be able to get Field of the Dead going too quickly in a mono-green deck. If it was a Zeusa, they'd have a much better time, but I can't say I've ever seen it in Nissa. We'll use land tax and go for, well, one of each. That will take us up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards in hand. 8, but then we play these. Yeah, we can go for another. Yeah, we'll go for another island. Drawing to Recruiter of the Guard. That's something we can play this turn at least. So we will get down an island. Play our Sol Ring. And then Recruiter of the Guard. Now then, what do we want with Recruiter of the Guard is the question. I think Soul Herder is the most effective thing to go for, because it flickers something every turn, although Fairy Artisans isn't terrible. Now let's go for Soul Herder. We can actually flicker the Recruiter of the Guard with a Soul Herder, can't we? This is any creature. Playing a Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, so just have to keep our fingers crossed that our opponent doesn't get too many green pips into play. Well, there's 2 additional ones, and that's going to create some nice blockers for our opponent as well. Yeah, we need to get some flyers in the air, I think. And then cracking a clue token, so they go up to 4 cards in hand, and we're certainly not going to block this Tireless Tracker. But we will encourage them to block with a plant token. Alright, so I think we continue to thin our deck of lands. So let's say yes to this again. We're going to have to discard some lands, but we've got plenty to go for with land tax. And then there is a Vencer, which I don't think we want to make use of just yet. Let's grab ourselves a Soul Herder, I think. And then I think we're just leaving it there. Yeah, let's just leave it at that, I think. Could have gone for a tap land with the Misty actually, but we're not going to struggle on lands this game. Let's encourage our opponent to block the Recruiter of the Guard. They just decide to let Nissa be taken down by a loyalty there. Soul Herder will flicker the Recruiter of the Guard. That puts a plus counter on the Soul Herder, and it also triggers the Recruiter of the Guard again. So now what do we want? I think a Phyrexian Metamorph might be alright. Our opponent sees that we've got Phyrexian Metamorph in hand. It might keep them off playing really good stuff. They're going to have a turn with Nykthos here, and I might wasteland that next turn. Let's get rid of that thing. And then we'll get rid of one of each basic. Another land coming in for our opponent. Followed by Rishkar, Pima Renegade, putting more plus counters on stuff, so this is obviously some kind of plus counter deck. Nissa does do that to your entire team as well. And this will generate a bunch more mana for our opponent. They've got 3 cards left in hand, but their commander generates some card advantage for them as well. Ugin the Ineffable. That exiles something, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. It destroys a permanent with 1 or more colours. And they go after our Soul Herder, which there's nothing we can do about, unfortunately. I think we're just trying to set up a rift at this point. Land tax triggers yet again, and we'll continue to strip our deck of basics. And there is an Aven Mind Sensor. Do we want to wasteland that Nykthos now? Yeah, I think we have to go in for Phyrexian Metamorph. We could hold up mana for Snap Mage. Yeah, let's go like that. We'll pay life. Bring this in as a copy of Ugin. Oh, it doesn't come down as a copy of a creature. Okay. Maybe just more mana then. Let's go for Sol Ring. Yeah, that was a misplay on my part. That sets us up for a rift, a little bit faster at least. Let's go for Wasteland, and we'll just get down our commander. Yeah, I thought Metamorph was a copy of anything. I don't play with that card very much, so that's my mistake. We won't draw a card with Ephara, but she's down now at least, probably for the rest of the game. My intention was to go for Ugin and destroy the Rishkar. Let's get rid of 2 planes. And we're on the Cyclonic Rift plane currently. We've got 4, 6 and 7, 8 mana next turn. And they go for a Spirit Token. That will give them some card advantage with the Cyclonic Rift. Now, looks like they're going in for Nissa as well. They've got 3 mana floating. No, it is a Reclamation Sage. So, probably going on the land tax. Okay. Surprised they didn't go after the Phyrexian Metamorph there. Don't really care about land tax at this point. Although we are going to Rift, so they'll get another chance with that Reclamation Sage. Perhaps a board wipe would be better at this point. Creating a plant token with Nissa. That is a -7 on that limit break, isn't it? Gain life, draw X cards, where X is the lands you control. Now we're taking a hit for 5 again. Yeah, a Supreme Verdict would be nice. But instead we just get into a Signet. So we'll drop our land. Yeah, we can go in for the Azorius Signet, and then it's 1, 3, 5, 6 and 7, yeah. We can still go for Cyclonic Rift at the end of our opponent's turn. Yeah, not triggering Ephara. We've just been on the back foot this entire game, thanks to our opponent being very fast. I think we're going to have to take a hit and Cyclonic Rift at the end of our opponent's turn, as opposed to trying to save ourselves some damage. Although it might be worth flashing down the Snapcaster Maze to block the Reclamation Sage if they go for that, if they take it into the red zone. Now down comes Nissa. She will not flip herself over. She needs to see 7 lands, I think. Yeah, 7 or more lands. Yeah, the more I think about it, it might actually be worth holding off on the Cyclonic Rift, because our opponent's going to be able to reuse that Ugin as well. And if we go for Aven Mind Sensor, we'll be able to swing over and hit our opponent. Problem is, they've got a lot of mana, and they've got a few clue tokens in play, so they could refill their hand. They don't seem to be using the mana ability with Rishkar, though. Maybe they've forgotten about that. Now creating another plant token. I think Nissa will force us into a Cyclonic Rift eventually. Okay, not swinging in with the Reclamation Sage. What to do here? They're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 after Sol Ring. They'll have 6 mana next turn. They'll be able to Rec Sage and go for Nissa. or just go straight in for Ugin. Yeah, I think we... How much is this? 5, 6, 7, 8 and 10. I think we just have to take it and stick with the Cyclonic Rift plan, unfortunately. They are tapping down a plant for mana there, so they haven't forgotten about that mana ability. Now untapping the mana. Oh, they thought it was the second main, I imagine. They're still at the end of combat currently. Now going for Bow of Nylea. So there's definitely a plus counter theme here. And at the end of the turn, we will make them bounce everything back. And they get those cards back into hand from Ugin. They're going to have to discard some stuff here. They're going to go up to 12 cards in hand. Now it might be worth trying to set up a Vencer emblem here. We can do that in a few turns, but Ugin can get rid of him. But it might discourage our opponent from aiming Ugin elsewhere. Alright, they get rid of a Green Sun Zenith, so it would have been worth going for the Aven Mind Sensor at some point. Aven Mind Sensor actually switches off their commander as well from searching for lands, but what are the chances of them having a basic land on top of the top 4, is it? The top 4 cards of the library, I think it's quite high. Oh, and they actually discard Ugin. They might regret that once they see Vencer. Makes you wonder about what else is in their hand, though. Okay, now it's an Eerie Interlude. Okay, so let's go in for the Vencer. And we will flicker that Recruiter of the Guard. We'll hold up Aven Mind Sensor for during our opponent's turn as well. So it's exile a permanent you own. Noteworthy that we could exile the Phyrexian Metamorph and have it come down as something else as well. Also noteworthy that I could have swung in with Recruiter of the Guard. Hopefully the 1 point of damage won't matter. And this is why I haven't been blocking with Recruiter of the Guard, because we can actually make use out of it. We have enough mana for Vencer actually, don't we? Yeah, holding up Vencer is an idea. Let's go for that. And we had our Recruiter of the Guard enter last turn, so we'll draw with Ephara, finally making use out of our commander. I think we have to Vencer whatever they go for here after the Soul Ring. That's too easy to replay. But if they go for something big, I think a Vencer is a nice tempo loss for them. Okay, Voyaging Satyr. Yeah, well, you can have that. Followed by the Rishkar. I think, because it's not Nissa, we'll go for Vencer on that. Want to try and keep our opponent's mana at bay as best we can. And it's noteworthy that Vencer is a good flicker target for the Planeswalker Vencer as well. Followed by a Mana Crypt. Okay, so they can go in for their commander here if they want to. But no, they just decide to go straight in for that Rishkar again. We do have Eerie Interlude, so I'm not too worried about the Rishkar currently. And we do have Snap Mage into Cyclonic Rift as well. Draw a card thanks to Vencer entering last turn, and there is that Fairy Artisans. This is exile a creature you control and return it under its owner's control for only 2 mana, so we can make Vencer useful a few times here. Got quite a lot of white in play, so let's play a Plains. Alright, so let's go Momentary Blink, and we'll aim that at Vencer. We'll throw away Rishkar, forcing our opponent to replay it. And our opponent scoops to that. We're only at 8 life, and yeah, this is just what happens on Magic Online, unfortunately. I don't know if I've mentioned it to all of you, but I haven't been very well over the Christmas period, and luckily I had enough recordings to see us through the Christmas period, and release more videos on Christmas Day, all that stuff that I like to do. But I'm just catching up the day... Yeah, this is Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, and I'm still not 100%. I keep coughing and having to edit out the coughs and the sneezes and all the rest of it, but it does mean that some of the quality of the gameplays might go down a little bit because I'm having to rush content out because I couldn't record for such a long time. My voice was gone, so for a week or two I couldn't really speak properly, so that means that I didn't have enough recordings to get videos out for you. So if you're seeing things like this, then apologies, but there's not a lot I can do about it without taking an entire week off the channel and not getting content out for all of you. If you've seen this, just know that the recordings didn't go too well and that my voice was probably shot after recording too much. I give you my word that I will get out another Ephara game very soon, because I think we might have been coming back there. I don't think there's any... No, we can't draw a card there to see what we would have gotten into. I don't think there's any life gain in this deck, but I think we might have been able to control our opponent enough to drag the game out long enough to get a Vencer emblem, maybe even an Elspeth emblem. I don't even know what I was going to do this turn, but yeah, anyway, apologies for the dire ending to this game, but it's not really in my power to have my opponents not scoop. Hopefully by the time you're seeing this, I have caught up on recordings and have therefore been able to launch the Patreon, and therefore things like this won't be occurring very often. But as of the time of this recording, they still are, so apologies for that, but hopefully you got a little bit of enjoyment out of it anyway. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.